Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rob. I'm here with a quick video to demonstrate something that I think a lot of beginners tend to have a problem with, and that is brush settings and how exactly to use brushes if you've never done digital painting before. To let you in on a little secret, with Krita, I actually don't do anything special. I haven't installed any custom brushes, I haven't adjusted any settings. Everything I'm doing for 90% of the work that I do in these videos is actually done with 2 or maybe 3 brushes at best. Right here is the number 2 most used brush that I use, which has this sort of bar-shaped icon, and the direction that it aims is influenced only by the tilt. So as you paint, the way your wrist naturally moves will affect the way that the brush behaves. The other type of brush I use, and the one that I use primarily for filling in large blocks of color, large areas, is this brush. And with this brush I make a slight change to the brush settings. Here, a lot of these brushes by default in Krita have their size affected by pen pressure, which I personally don't enjoy. I can understand it and I can see why people would do it, but personally I prefer to just let the opacity be controlled by the pen pressure and let the size remain consistent. I want to manually step up or down the size myself, which I do by assigning that to a hotkey on the rocker ring on this settee. So I'll usually turn that off, which allows me then to control my opacity just by pressing down harder or lighter, and then affect the change by manually stepping it up and down with a hotkey. What this does is this brush gives me a very calligraphy brush style line that I can actually angle just by twisting my wrist slightly. See, if I lean the pen towards me with the eraser tip toward me, I get this up and down and a fat side to side. But if I lean it to my left or right, now my left and right is skinny, my up and down is fat. So by tilting this pen, I can kind of get I can control the angle of the chisel and get a very fine tip and spread it out. So it's almost a calligraphy brush, which I think is what the intent was. I don't know what that is, it's not English, but you get the idea. A lot of times when I'm signing the piece, you'll see me switch to it at the very tail end of the video. Because it comes out looking like a very nice calligraphy pen. So I'll use this brush for really everything, from blocking out the basic shapes and silhouettes to the perspective lines to simple guidelines, you name it, I use it for everything. This one brush alone, in its default, I only really change that one setting, but it allows you to do pretty much everything that you need. Without having to switch to a different brush or use multiple settings. Honestly though, the actual brush that you use doesn't matter. The important thing is that you just draw. Don't get too hung up on these various settings, because at the end of the day, all these brushes are really the same. It's only a minor difference between each thing. The only real distinction you should worry about, for the most part, is whether or not a brush is hard edge or soft edge. So like right now, this is definitely a hard edge brush. Every line that it produces is, for the most part, very harsh where it terminates. Versus this type of brush, where it's a nice gradient from the actual brush center part with the most opacity all the way out to the edge of its area of effect. This kind of brush doesn't get you anything very defined. So this is the type of brush that you will see me switch to when I'm doing an effect, whether it be lens flares, smoke, or just touching up a certain part that happens to have a value that's too low, or punching up shadows, things like that. So when you're starting out, and before you can really, when you first start out, you don't really have an idea or an intuitive sense of what your preferences are. So don't get too hung up on it. Don't worry yourself over it. Just get a simple hard edge brush that you like and a simple soft edge brush that you like, and that will carry you through 99% of the tasks you need to do while painting. So if you're using Krita, I would highly suggest using this one. It's default, second row, second to last brush, and just paint away. Go nuts. And if you have to change anything, change the size effect. Everything else, leave it alone and just work with it. You'd be amazed what you can end up with.